Hey everyone, so a little bit of a weird place to film today, but it's at night, so I needed as much light as I possibly could have. So today we are going to be doing a book review for a new book that is going to be coming out, I believe, on November 15th of 2022, so check it out. We're going to be talking about the Blackout Book Club. I just finished it, and I loved it. I really did. This book was, it was a book where, like, I love a good book that has, like, fast pace and action, which, in my opinion, this was a character-driven book, but there was still plenty of mystery and danger to please anybody. At least I feel that way, because I love a plot-driven book, but having amazing characters as well just makes for an awesome book, and I love this one. So this book is by Lynn Green, and this is my first book that I've ever read by her. I will definitely be picking up more. The cover is gorgeous and has like a really fun texture. I felt like the turquoise color, and it just has a fun texture to it, so I love that. And thank you to Baker Publishing for sending me a copy of this book to read and review, because I loved it. It was great. So in this book, there are quite a few perspectives in this book. I think we're following like five or six different characters. So there are a lot of characters. In some parts, it did get a little confusing, but the author did a great job in like trying to make it clear of who we're talking about. So in the beginning, we're talking about Avis, who she's basically a housewife, and her husband is her husband is her brother's best friend. And so her brother is going off to war during World War II, and he is the head librarian at this library. And he asks her to take his place and be in charge of the library until his return. Well, Avis hates reading. She hates books. She tells him she doesn't want to do it. She only reads magazines and newspapers, and that's it. She's like, I don't want any part of this library. But because it's her brother, she agrees, and so she ends up being a part of this library. And the woman who owns the library, Louise, she also really kind of doesn't want any part of the library. It was her father's, she inherited it, and she's on like the verge of possibly getting rid of the library and making it into a nursery for women who work in the factories on the it's on an island. I can never remember. Small town Maine. But so she is thinking about renovating and not being a library anymore. But Avis, she's thinking of her brother, and she's like, what is my brother going to do when he gets home if there's no library? So she comes up with a spur of the moment plan to create the Blackout Book Club, which is a book club for people who, during blackouts, they had to do the dark curtains and stuff. They could get bored, and so she wanted to have that, but also like save her brother's special library that he loves so much. So she ends up creating this library. First week, only I think one person shows up, maybe two, and so she's like, what am I gonna do? Because she was expecting, I think she was expecting like a good 10 to 15 people, and only 2 or 3 show up. So what follows is each character and their lives during World War II, and seeing them, how these people like on the home front, and how they are reacting to like letters being sent by loved ones across sea, and people who like Avis's husband, he's 4F, so he can't join the military. So you see that depression and how he wants to join the military, but he's unable to. But I love these characters so much. There is such depth in these characters, and just the love. I love them so much. Like, a lot of them like had a hard time making friends. Avis had a hard time making friends. She had no friends. Louise, who owned the library, she was grumpy, and she had a lot of stuff in her past that the townspeople really weren't sure how to kind of act around her. So a lot of these people who joined the club didn't really have friends to begin with. And so I just loved how the book club really brought all these ladies and men together. And I love that. I love that it wasn't just all women in this book club, but there were men who joined this book club too. And honestly, I think men would enjoy this book too. If you like World War II fiction, I honestly think you would, because there was romance in it, but obviously, number one, super clean because it is a Christian fiction book, but it wasn't like a super main focus of the story. So I loved it. I loved the history. I loved seeing, I never used to like home front stories in World War II, but after this book, I'm hoping to find some more that I like, because this was a really great book and I loved it. So I don't want to say too much more because I don't want to spoil anything, but yes, it was just a beautiful plot-driven and character-driven story. I loved it, and I do have to say though, the beginning was a little slow for me. That's why it took me a little bit longer. Also, people wanted to watch TV while I was reading. But the first, the first quarter of the book was just a little slow for me, but it's building the characters, it's building the background stories, and after that, I was hooked. I didn't want it to end. I love the characters, and the ending just made me so happy. I'm not gonna tell you why, but as a book lover, you'll be really happy. So it was awesome. I loved it. So check it out. I'll put the release date, which, yeah, I think it said November 15th. But yes, check this out. It's such a beautiful story. I think you're going to love it. So thank you for tuning in, and I will see you all in the next video.